This past year has been rough, very rough.
And not just for Jessica Preisler. She and dozens of others are having to rely on this food pantry at 1330 Atchison Street. This particular morning, she and others wait, not to go inside, but to have the food brought outside. Volunteers have no other option ever since the City Department of Building and Zoning Services issued this order to vacate the building on January 19th, citing violations such as locked exit doors and an invalid certificate of occupancy. Anyago Bashir Muhammad has run the pantry since 2005 and says on January 5th, a fire inspector and two others made a surprise inspection.
But the city code people was with them. They didn't introduce themselves as being city code.
He says he didn't find out a code enforcement officer and building inspector were with him until days later.
The land we own used to be owned by the city. So, there's some speculation as to whether they want to use code enforcement to take that land back.
Is there any other reason other than these violations for issuing the vacate order?
No. I mean, we respond to complaints.
Linda Lecloche with Building and Zoning Services says it all boils down to safety and says the fire inspector did introduce the other two inspectors who she says wore identification. Just 5 days after the inspection, she says this order was hand-delivered to the center, detailing what she calls serious violations and the steps needed to be taken. Lecloche says they could have possibly avoided the vacate order, but she never heard back. Marcus says they never received that order. Then we showed him this receipt. The city says it proves someone at the center signed for it.
My question is, it says this was received by you guys on January 10th, but yes. You tell me you never received anything.
Right. When they came in under the guise of the fire inspection, none of the enforcement officers identified themselves.
That aside, he says they're also questioning the validity of the violations in the first place.
Well, I would say file an appeal, and you can take your appeal up with the State Board of Building Appeals.
Meanwhile, Preisler is worried about the pantries and her family's future.
And without them being here, I don't know, it's going to affect a lot of families.
In Columbus, Tom Brockman, NBC4.